I just want to say that I am not entirely sure that this is a skinwalker since I live in Australia, but what we encountered seems close enough to say that it is, and how I described it as a skinwalker. Okay, so it was the summer of 2015. My buddy, who I will call P, and his older yet still teenage cousin, who happened to be staying at his place, whom I will call L, were hanging out at his place since we were on school break. We were both in high school, and I don't know if any of you guys know how Australia has summertime around the same time as Christmas. So naturally, being a few days near Christmas, that was all we would talk about, asking about what we were planning on doing, our presents, our family members, etc. Eventually, P's mom told us to leave and take the dog on a walk. We thought that it was a bit strange since she usually only lets us go into the backyard by his old treehouse and his pool so that she could keep an eye on us, especially when P's dad was away on a business trip, like it was on this day. But we did. For reference, P has two dogs, a male golden retriever and a female Caucasian shepherd. I will not say their names, but both dogs are quite long-haired, and since Australia's sun is quite hot, they had to get their hair cut down so that they could actually survive this Australian sun. This information is somewhat needed for later in the story. So anyway, we began to walk them, and after a while, since it was hot, Elle said that we should take a trail in the nearby brush so that we could get some shade. We all agreed and we went into this bush. For reference, the bush is basically the Australian version of the woods. Usually in the summers you don't go into the bush due to snakes, but we were young and wanted to get out of the sun, so we just went. Anyway, after about 10 minutes of walking in the bush, both dogs stopped. The golden retriever starts whimpering and tries to run away, and the Caucasian shepherd stands her ground, simultaneously sniffing in the air, then growling. Elle thought that the golden retriever might have been bitten by a snake. Now, like I said before, both breeds usually have long hair to somewhat protect them from snake bites. But since it was the summer and their hair was short, this is a problem, and they would need to be taken to the vet immediately. Elle quickly checked and couldn't see anything, but as I looked around on the ground for snakes, wishing that we didn't come here, I saw it. At first I thought it was either a kangaroo or a large dog, which was about 17 meters, which in USA mathematics is about 55 feet and 9 inches. It was acting odd as it had its back against the tree, arms crossed like a human, just watching us. Kangaroos just usually lay down if they are tired or something, but this thing was upright laying on the tree. So I yelled out to them, "What is that kangaroo doing?" B and Dal looked over and saw it both. Said something along the lines of, "That ain't no kangaroo, mate." They were right, because it saw that we saw it, and after looking at it, I describe it as a tall man-kangaroo hybrid thing. Arms like a man and small claws on his fingers, yet legs like a kangaroo, an extremely light brown coat. Face was similar to that of a kangaroo, but also was a bit square-shaped, like a mastiff dog. It both simultaneously ran and hopped as it came towards us. I think that it only attacked because we all saw it, as it looked predatory. And when we spotted it, almost like it was minding its own business, and when it saw us see it, then it thought that we were a threat or something. We didn't really have time to run, only making it 2 steps back before it was right in front of us. It lunged at me, but just as it knocked me to the ground, the Caucasian shepherd jumped up, biting its arm. P fell forward and let the dog's lead go, and let the dog do what it had to do. Since a Caucasian shepherd dog can have the bite force of 700 psi, which for reference, a lion only has the bite force of 650 psi, you know that this creature was truly in pain, when it let out a yell, sounding similar to that of a dog whimpering in pain as the Caucasian shepherd's jaw clamped down on the arm. The creature then began to claw at the Caucasian shepherd with its free hand. Usually this wouldn't be a problem for the Caucasian shepherd, as their long fur would act as a shield against their skin when they fight wolves in Russia. But since it was the summertime again, her neck and body were exposed, since the fur was too short. I was basically pinned in the ground as the two were fighting above me. The Caucasian shepherd did manage to move from the arm to the neck of this creature, but this somehow didn't kill this creature. The creature yelled out in pain since the Caucasian shepherd was too weak from its injuries really to continue the bite around the neck. The creature managed to push the Caucasian shepherd off its neck. It looked like the fight was about to turn in favor for the creature, but Elle grabbed a large stick nearby and swung it at the back of the creature's ear, which barely did anything as the creature turned around towards him, grabbing the stick from Elle when he swung it the second time. This allowed the Caucasian shepherd to jump onto the creature and sink another bite into the creature's shoulder. Clearly too injured to continue, the creature got the Caucasian shepherd off before it ran and hopped away into the brush, out of sight. We all ran out of the bush as fast as we could, just to get back to P's house. P and L were crying as I was limping, barely able to keep up. We didn't care that we entered the house. We needed an adult. So P ran upstairs to get his mom from the room, as L was checking my cuts and the Caucasian's wounds. But all we heard from upstairs was screaming from P's mom. She brought him downstairs by the ear, wearing lingerie, and a man in his underwear, who was not P's father, walking down the stairs behind her. She was pissed, Audi slang referring to somebody being either drunk or extremely angry. In this case, she was not drunk, but after seeing the Caucasian shepherd's injuries and the scratches, she calmed down and told the male to leave, which he accepted and quickly went back upstairs to get his things before leaving. She quickly changed. It was Elle who had told her what had happened, and simply said that it was a large feral dog. She believed him, and she then took the Caucasian shepherd to the vet, while Elle took me to a doctor, since he had a car. The Caucasian shepherd unfortunately died in 2019, not due to her injuries, while the golden retriever is still alive and well. P and L said nothing about P's mother and that whole situation to P's father, but he had somehow found out around New Year's and filed for a divorce. I don't know much about the divorce besides the fact that P's mother hit P's dad with an AVO that he did not deserve. AVO is kind of like a restraining order, naturally causing issues in the divorce. As for the creature itself, after doing some research online and watching some YouTube videos, like that of the channels of Mr. Ballin, What Larks Benefit, Mr. Nightmare, Darkness Prevails, the most likely thing that it could be has to be a skinwalker. But I do have my doubts as I live in Australia and not the USA. So honestly, I don't know what we encountered. But what I do know is that when I decide to get a dog, the Caucasian shepherd is in my top 10 for obvious reasons. I'm a soldier in the US Army. I'm stationed at a base in southern Arizona. Over the weekend, some of my buddies and I decided that we would go exploring around the mountains surrounding the base. We woke up early to get a head start, and before long, we were well on our way up the mountain. We decided to take a break by sitting down on some rocks that seemed to be like a form of benches on a large ravine. The view up there was just breathtaking. We sat there for about 20 minutes, catching our breath and just taking it all in. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we heard what sounded like a mariachi band playing from behind us. I turned around and I can best describe what I saw as a 1800s military figure with an oversized cartoon like exaggerated Mexican head, mustache, sombrero, and all. It was awkwardly skipping towards us like it was trying to dance. Once it got close, we could see it flailing its arms like a poorly programmed robot, attempting to play the guitar it didn't have. As it came closer, we realized that this mariachi music was coming from its head, not just its mouth. The mouth, however, was forming the lyrics, but it seemed like it was out of sync, almost like what you would see when your video is ahead of your audio on your TV. This thing was running right at us, but we were way too intrigued to be scared. Instead, we just watched, mesmerized. I'm not even sure if I know what happened next. From what I saw, this thing was just skipping right by us and right into the ravine. And instead of falling straight down, it seemed to be glitching its way down. And then as it got halfway down, it literally just disappeared. It was like a literal glitch in the Matrix. We were all just sitting there, just completely dumbfounded for a minute, when all of a sudden, we hear a girl screaming, coming from that ravine. Our reaction to this was kinda hard to articulate. Being men, especially military-trained men, it is somewhat expected that we would be inclined to help a woman in need. But this wasn't that. This was different. It was almost like we were hypnotized by it, so much so that we had forgotten about the complete unnatural incident that just happened moments before. We all began racing down this ravine, which was extremely dangerous because the height was extremely steep. We didn't care. We needed to help this woman. After leaping from rock to rock, we eventually got to the source of this small cavern. It was an opening on the ledge, in the middle of the ravine. I was the first person on the ledge, so I got down on my stomach and began low crawling into this cave. I noticed immediately as I entered this cave that I could no longer hear the screaming, and I didn't care about it anymore. Immediately after entering that cave, I became overcome with an unimaginable thirst. In the cave, there was a little ledge and a small lake about 20 feet below. As I saw it, I immediately began to crawl toward it, attempting to crawl off the ledge and into it. I wanted to drink that lake, all of it. Something was caught on my leg somehow, however, so as much as I struggled, I couldn't crawl forward. After struggling for about a minute or so, I saw what I believe was the most deformed mermaid imaginable leap 20 feet from the water and coming inches from my face before suddenly falling back into the water, torso first, folding backwards like a sandwich. The weirdest thing about this was the splash it created. The splash was way too big for this creature, and the sound was even louder, like it was made by an over-the-top special effects crew. Immediately after this, I could feel myself being dragged back, but it was just by my friends, thank God. We quickly went to the bottom of this ravine for safety. Once we knew we were in the clear at the bottom, we looked up at the cavern, and that thing was no longer there. I'm starting to suspect that maybe I was delusional, or maybe I saw a skinwalker and a glitch in the Matrix. I don't know, it was in the desert, but one day I would like to find out. Thanks for watching, I really hope you enjoyed it. I know it's kind of short and everything like that, but thought you guys would really enjoy something like this, especially with how in depth it goes. If you did enjoy this and you would like to see more, make sure to like, comment, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We've got a lot of content and a lot more Skinwalker stuff as well, so if you would like to see more of that, make sure to go check out the playlist. Make sure to check out the links in the description as well, like Twitter, Instagram, everything like that's in there, including a Gmail, if you would like to submit your own story. Maybe you've seen a skinwalker. I would tell your story for you if you wouldn't mind. Just saying. But with that being said, stay safe, stay scary, and I'll see you in the next one.